On today's episode of Amazing Places to Visit in Africa, we take a look across Ghana's southern coastline and at 5 historically monumental castles: Cape Coast Castle, Elmina Castle, Osu Castle, Fort St. Jago, and Fort Amsterdam. These places are not just ruins, they are witnesses, silent storytellers of a time when the shores of West Africa stood at the center of world-shaping events. This is Ghana's Coast of Castles. Number 1. Cape Coast Castle. Built by the Swedes in the 1650s and expanded by the British, Cape Coast Castle became one of the largest slave trading centers in the world. The walls are thick, the rooms are small, and the air still feels heavy. Down in the dungeons, where no sunlight reached, thousands of Africans were held for weeks or months. Men in one chamber, women in another. Imagine that heat, the darkness, the smell, and the echoes of chains. Historians estimate that at times, up to 1,000 people were packed inside these rooms at once. And then there is the door of no return, a final passageway leading out to the sea. For many, stepping through this doorway meant stepping away from family, homeland, language, identity, forever. But Cape Coast Castle is also a place of return, a place of healing, a place where people from across the African diaspora come to reconnect with their roots. The castle stands as a reminder, not of defeat, but of resilience, survival, and unbroken spirit of the African people. Number 2. Elmina Castle. Elmina Castle, or St. George's Castle, the oldest European building in sub-Saharan Africa, built in 1482 by the Portuguese. While Cape Coast Castle is massive, Elmina Castle is ancient. It is the starting point of European presence in West Africa. From this very fort, the Portuguese and later the Dutch controlled trade, later human trade and political power. The governor's room overlooked the entire settlement, symbolizing the hierarchy imposed on the land. But Elmina's story isn't only European, it is also African. The town of Elmina became a bustling center of fishermen, traders, local leaders, and skilled craftsmen. The cultural blend here shaped the history of Ghana's coast for centuries. Number 3. The Osu Castle. Moving east towards Accra, we arrive at the Osu Castle, also known as the Christiansborg Castle. While Cape Coast and Elmina are symbols of the transatlantic slave trade, Osu Castle's story stretches further into Ghana's political history. The castle began under the Danish in the 1600s. Later, it changed hands. Portuguese, Akwamu rulers of Ghana, and then the British. What makes Osu Castle unique is not just its age, but its role after slavery. When Ghana began its journey towards independence, this castle became the seat of government. From the colonial governors to Ghana's first leaders, Christiansborg Castle served as a symbol of power, both foreign and local. It represents a transformation from a European stronghold to a Ghanaian seat of governance. Few places in Africa carry such a layered mix of political, colonial, and culture. Next up is Fort St. Jago. It stands on a hill built by the Dutch to keep an eye on the Elmina Castle below. This fort served a military purpose: surveillance, defense, and control. From its position, you can see miles of coastline, a strategic advantage during the battles between European powers fighting over the Gold Coast. But today, Fort St. Jago is peaceful, a perfect viewpoint, a reminder that landscapes once shaped by conflict can evolve into places of reflection and beauty. The final castle on this list is Fort Amsterdam. Located in the quiet coastal town of Abanze, though not as massive as Cape Coast or Elmina, this fort plays a significant role in Dutch and British competition along the coast. What makes Fort Amsterdam stand out is its state of partial ruin, giving us a raw, unfiltered look at history. Its collapsed chambers and exposed walls tell the stories of resistance, cannon battles, and shifting powers. Some records even suggest that British once used this fort as a base to attack nearby Dutch settlements. Surrounded by a traditional fishing community, the fort shows how modern Ghanaian life continues to coexist with remnants of the past. Together, these 5 sites, from the heart of Ghana's historic coastline, they remind us of the tragedies of the past and the strength of those who survived. They showed us how history, culture, and identity can endure across centuries. This is not just Ghana's story, this is Africa's story. That is all for today's video on amazing places to visit in Africa. Please like this video and subscribe as we continue to explore amazing sites on the African continent. Thank you, and on to the next video.